right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to tell you, as mayor, uh, we get an opportunity to see the ups and downs and see things happening. But I'll tell you, out of all the projects, out of all the opportunities we've had, to me, this is one of the most exciting. I had a chance, I think maybe about a year ago, to sit down and meet with these three gentlemen who will be up in a few minutes and talk about their vision, talk about Waterloo, which I love to do and I love to brag. But from that day to this day, this has been one of the most incredible partnerships for business that we have possibly had. Not only do you see the terrific changes that have taken place here over a very short amount of time, it's also got us to the point where we as a city had to think about what we're doing with the convention center and how we're going to do that and how we're going to move forward. But I've been absolutely impressed with their professionalism. I've been impressed with their dedication and commitment to the city. I've also been impressed about not just being a development, but this is a transformational opportunity for the city of Waterloo and them as partners. And so we're very proud to be here today in the Best Western downtown hotel to see the renovations. But of course I can be a talking head and continue to talk on about this great opportunity. But I would like to call up Rod Lindquist, Vice President of Development.
I'll just hold this here if this is okay. Hi, thank you for coming out, everybody. Appreciate this opportunity to talk to you a bit about a project. It was just about a year ago, by about 2 days, that we did this before. I know some of you were in that press conference we had. So we're marking a year anniversary from taking what was before to what it is today. I do have with me a couple of important gentlemen, Tom Bush from Best Western Hotels, and of course Brian Kern, the majority partner and president of McKenda Development. So I'd like to have Tom come and say a couple things, and then Brian and Tom and I'd be available for any kind of questions that you may have if you want to do that. So please, thanks.
Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, good afternoon. Tom Bush with Best Western Hotels and Resorts, based out of Phoenix. This is a great project. We're really excited to be a part of it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being a part of it as well, and all your help and dedication to making this thing work and function well. We're so excited to have this property in downtown Waterloo. And to my great developer and developer of the year, which is Brian Kern, we are so excited. I want to say thank you. And this is an exciting project for the hotel brand, to be a part of your city, but most importantly, to be a part of this event, along with great Brian Kern, our developer of the year for Best Western. Brian?
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, this like I don't want to be redundant here, but like Rod said, this has been quite the project to see something of this scope and take 230 rooms and repurpose them in less than a year is just absolutely crazy. But we ran into a great contractor, local contractor, and that was our focus when we started this project, is to do as many of these things locally. Excuse me. Tom had found this opportunity for us, driving back and forth. He lives in Chicago, and found it and would call me just about daily. And finally, I said, Rod, you got to go to Waterloo and see what's going on. I had never been to Waterloo in my life. So I sent Rod down, and he did some scouting and called me that night. And he said, Brian, he says, you got to come down here. He says, I don't know what to make of this. So I flew in, I think the next day, and the people that we ran into, including the mayor and people from this city, it was an opportunity. We never second guessed ourselves. It was, we were all in from the start. And we couldn't be happier, like I said, with using local trades and a local general contractor that were just an all-star team, because they're, the city and the area is very lucky to have those guys. But with that, but thank you, Tom, for the introduction. But this guy here spent weeks upon weeks down here, away from his family, and saw this thing to the finish. So with that, I guess I would open it up if anybody has any questions for anyone.
I guess first, and any of you can speak to this if you feel the desire to, but I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the economic growth that you hope that your hotel can bring to the Waterloo area.
Well, I think a couple things. One is it brings a developer into the relationship that you have with the mayor, the city, but also next door, which is the Sullivan Brothers Auditorium. Combining the two for the demand generator for the business as well as the convention business that will bring into town. You have 100,000 people in the combined two cities. The value of having the convention center is really the key because you have sports teams coming in, you have large events that will come to the city, which will drive the room night demand center for sports, for business, for the town itself, and university that's nearby. So there's a lot of activity that's commingled with having a city that's willing to do business with you. Secondarily, you have a conference center that is just going to be world class. As you see the pictures behind you, it will drive more business to your town because that's what gets people to come. So those convention business, which is going to be lagging for a little bit, we all know, probably for another 5 or 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, but the tourism business is coming in, and also the individual traveler. We're seeing in our hotels across the country that people are traveling as a tourist. You're seeing stay vacations now becoming 3 or 4 day nights. You might not be taking a week vacation, but you're taking 2 or 3 or 4 nights, and you're going locally. People staying a little bit closer to home, and you're going with your families. We're seeing that. We're seeing the business traveler not quite there yet. Individual business people, yes, but not necessarily the convention business. I think we're all hopeful once this is done and the pandemic is sort of simmering and getting over, I think people will come back in droves. I think there's a pent-up demand. We're seeing that across the brand for all of our properties. That's going to be a driving force going forward is the pent-up demand that people really have to get out and go. We're all staying at our offices in our homes, or we're not connecting with friends like we did in the past, and I think you're going to see that really come on in a big way as soon as people feel more comfortable the vaccine comes in. Whatever we're talking about as far as the health issues, we're all kind of on our, waiting for people to make decisions that are above our pay grade. But that will stem the business growth back again where people all want to get back to normal. And Mr. Mayor?
And also I'd like to add too, one of the things we did, and we asked for the support and thoughts from Brian and Rod as well, was to hire Spectra Management. Spectra is our management company for the convention center, which we know once that convention center regains its look, its feel, its vibrancy, like it was originally meant to be, it is the regional economic hub for entertainment, sports, etc. It's one of the largest facilities that we have in the region, and it's going to be a great boost for the hotel and a great marriage with the hotel. But as Tom mentioned also, you take a look at the local shops that are downtown, you take a look a little bit at the retail, you take a look at Young Arena, you take a look at the fact that we have a museum district. There are a lot of jewels that we have in this city, and this development is going to be a part of helping people to understand the jewels that we have within downtown Waterloo. And we're also hoping that this is going to spur increased growth for the future. And that is all a part of the bigger plan, and this is a huge piece to our overall success.
I'd like to add one little part to that. First off, there were over 40 contractors, suppliers, vendors on this project, and we had over 35 of them were local, within like 30, 40 miles. Best I could tell, it's kind of hard to figure, but I think our just the payroll, because the materials, a lot of expensive materials, that sort of thing, but I estimate about $3 million in payroll generated from this project, and how that recirculates in the economy is substantial. But an additional piece to this about the economics is for every $1 that's generated in hotel lodging, it circulates back to $7 in the economy. So when the convention center gets open and that activity start to happen, and not only our hotel but the rest of the hotels in the area start to fill up, it will be a significant increase in things. And back, everybody talks to glory days when this was first built. Well, I think it'll be multiplied several times now with this. Any other questions?
Mayor Hart, this might be a question for you, but can you just kind of update us on the predicted finish date for the convention center across the street, or where that's at right now?
So the convention center is going through several different phases. Phase one, the exhibition hall. Phase two involves the lobby renovations and a couple of other renovations, which you can see along the pictures. Phase three, though, will be working towards a facelift, a glass enclosure on the northeast side of the building, room renovations, and potentially the ability to have some type of Sullivan Plaza type of memorial right there. Because we want this to fit in and be an experience for people, not just inside, but on the outside, and tell pieces of the story and the history of Waterloo. So we're hoping that phase three can be completed by October-ish of 2021.
One more question that I've had as well. I know that the employees at the Ramada had lost their jobs when the renovations happened. And I know that you guys had encouraged them to apply for new positions here. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about whether any of those employees were hired and what their roles are in the new hotel.
That's a tough one.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, we did, and we've hired back. I don't know the exact number that we retained.
There was at least 4 of them that were with us all the way through it, that
Yes.
helped with the renovation, and I think those 4 or 5 are still here now.
And then I think also then some of them also got hired over to the convention center, but now they've been paused now until the work is done. So they've been able to either get placed or soon to be placed back again. So
I want to make one point as well. I think that we want to emphasize. One of the things the brands do is to want to be part of developers that are people that know what they're doing. We also recognize we must work with the city. The mayor and his team have been unbelievably fantastic on helping a developer go through the process of permitting, adjusting the property, making sure things work together, getting financing together, and also marrying up the future, which is going to be for the town. The town benefits by having the hotel, but the hotel benefits by having the convention center. They are together. They have to be together. And that relationship, which was difficult to put together based on financing and numbers and economics, the value proposition going forward is going to be this. The secondary and tertiary cities of America are going to thrive. You're seeing that now. You're seeing home building. People start saying, you know what, small town America is back. The urban centers are going to suffer for a variety of reasons, taxes and certainly the problems that you've seen on television. But we're seeing this across the country that our smaller properties in second and tertiary cities are doing very, very well. I call this a strong secondary market. It's not quite Des Moines, but the reality is you have 100,000 people nearby, you have a major university. There's demand here to get people back to where you want to be, which is small town America. And I think that drives the brand recognition. We look at demand generators, and what we're looking for is the commingling of relationships with cities, but also what else is there. We have strong businesses here, John Deere being a strong facility, but also the relationship with the convention center. Like the mayor said, there's so many things that are going to happen because of entertainment, sports, business, but all pieces are the puzzle. We put them all together and we say we want to be a part of that program. But you have to have a top developer. You have to have somebody who has the vision, the idea, the fortitude, the economic ability to put it all together. And Brian Kern is the Developer of the Year for Best Western, which is a huge business. We have a $6 billion business, 4,000 hotels, and this gentleman here in small town America, if you want to call it, really puts deals together beautifully. And this hotel, well, his team. But this hotel, when I walked in back a year ago, almost maybe September of a year ago, was literally should have been condemned. That's how bad this building was. It was in that terrible shape. And the vision you see today, every room has been touched. These are thoughts, these are ideas, this is hard work putting together with the team and the brand. So we're grateful. The city will be grateful, the mayor will be grateful, but we're also more grateful to people coming back to the town. And it will happen because a building like this draws people in. It's really exciting to see something. I travel the country doing this. I can assure you, this is unusual. This is not the norm. And it takes a partnership between great mayors who care about their city. You can clearly tell we've had dinner many times together, but also people who are willing to put the effort in and say, can we make this work? And now you're going to see something that is so fantastic. So we're all excited as Best Western. We thank you. And I'll give this over to Rod. Who else wants to speak? Any other questions?
I did have one other question. So I know that it was slated to have construction done in August, I believe. And so I was wondering if you guys could walk through the timeline of when exactly construction ended and when you opened up to reservations to the public.
Well, it was the end of July when we actually had the Plus, because there's two brands here. It's a Best Western Plus and then Executive Residency. So actually, end of July, we opened the Plus, but then we still had
Which was the first 100 rooms.
first 100 rooms, and the rest of the rooms then, which is 71 of them, is the extended stay rooms, which after this, you can all take a tour and see them. They're, I think, Tom, when you walked in, you were
Amazed.
surprised.
The difference is that there's two different brands here. The reason being is because there's two different markets you're targeting. There's segmentation in the hotel business. People staying more than 1 or 2 nights, or 3 nights, or 4. If you're on a long-term contract with a business, you don't want to move into an apartment. You might want to stay a little shorter period of time. But you want all the amenities of a hotel, but you want the space. You want an elbow room. You want that extra room. And upstairs, you'll see there's 2-room combined suites. So taking 2 rooms, making them 1, put a divider in the middle. Now you have a sitting area and a television and a place to sleep and a bathroom on the other side. And also a kitchenette. So you have a full kitchen if you want to stay for a little bit, cook pizzas, do whatever you want to do in your own room. The other part of the hotel is a transient hotel, which is your normal hotel, which basically gets people in and out. The average stay in most hotels is 1.2 nights. So 26 hours is the average stay in an American hotel. The reality is in a long-term stay, it could be anywhere from 3 to 7, 21 days. And people who are on contract coming to town, if you're moving to city and you don't have a place to stay, a hotel room's kind of small. You got 2 or 3 kids, maybe yourself and your wife or whatever, your partner. Those rooms are small. But if you have an extended stay room, an extra room, you can actually say, you know what, let's stay in tonight, let's cook pizza, or let's have a bowl of pasta. But your space is a little bit larger and you're not quite there, but you're only waiting for your home to be built. You're waiting for your business to transfer. A lot of different reasons why people have the in-between markets. Those are extended stay. So we opened the hotel with the transient portion because it was completed. We knew that guests would come, but we also knew that the work being done, this is a major renovation. It takes a little while. So we allowed the hotel to open with partial rooms, not knowing the other rooms are not being completed, but they're going to be in transit. And it sets up upper stairs, 3 or 4 floors upstairs. You're not going to see that anyway until it's done. Now it's completed. That's why we do that.
And last question, I know you guys had mentioned that you felt that this needed a complete overhaul. It was ready to be condemned, as you had mentioned. So I was wondering if you guys could speak a little bit more to why you felt that a complete overhaul renovation was really needed for this building.
When we first came in, the day that I walked into the property, it was a property in disrepair. I do this for a living. I travel the country and I look for hotels, for assets for my developers to come in and say, let's reposition this opportunity. You look at some of the older buildings in towns. We see this across America. There's old buildings. They can be repurposed for nursing homes, for apartments, for condos. You're seeing it everywhere. And you see this hotel is existing hotel, so it's a business that already has life. We already know it's a possibility. And you look at the room count in the marketplace, you look at the opportunity and you think, can this become a hotel again with the right amount of money? Money really does make the difference. But when you buy it right at a low cost, I talked to the owner who owned it. I said, are you willing to sell? He said, yes. I called Brian. I said, Brian, I think I have an opportunity for you. So it's really, do the numbers work? If you're building a new hotel like this, you're talking about $150,000 to $200,000 per room to build. We do it on a per key basis. So if you have 170 rooms times $150,000, which do the math, that's going to be your total cost. But if you can build or reposition a hotel underneath that, now you've got value. And the value created is, let's say you do that for $70,000. So now I've got a bumper of dollars that I can play with as far as my rate, and I can capture return on investment, which is the key. So repositioning old assets is a great idea. You're seeing it in apartment buildings, you're seeing it in nursing homes across the country. Buildings are becoming other things because maybe they outlive their usefulness. Look at this town today. Look around your city, and I drive the cities as well, and I see new buildings. You see cranes. Apartment right on the river here, a beautiful building not 2 blocks away. That is growth. That tells me people want to be here. So when we do our modeling to say, do we want to be a part of this project, we assess all those things and recognize that's really how the value proposition comes in. But the building was in disrepair, and I think everybody can attest to that. The mayor, well, we saw the mayor the first time and said, would you mind this building being redone? Of course, right? Because that's money being invested back in the town. But we need support. You need the mayor's support to get that done.
And to do that, you'll see there's nothing that we did not touch in this building. It's completely, we took it down to the bones and rebuilt it. Repurposing is one word, but the other part is to be competitive in today's lodging market, especially as competitive as it is now even, you have to do what we did. So those numbers had to work. We had to buy this thing properly because we knew we were going to pour a lot more into it. But at the end of the day, we had to make sure that would work and the market would support it. So it had a finished product. If you take your tour, you'll if you saw it before, you'll be shocked.
And also, when you take a look at the walls, not only is everything fresh and new, they also didn't forget about the past and the history of this community. And so you can see on some of the walls some of the older pictures from the city, which shows you know, the inclusivity of our entire community and its history.
The old and the new.
Yeah, a few other points to Tom's point earlier about what kind of shape the place was in. I think this speaks volumes. We wouldn't stay here.
No one would.
That's somewhere else.
We stayed at another hotel in town, but
Yes.
we wouldn't even stay here, so.
We didn't even meet here.
Yeah, nor did we meet here. We were.
But we're happy
we were
to
afraid.
take you around and show you the details of what was really done here, because we just did a tour this morning again, and I've been here many times, and I see the finished product in bits and pieces, and like I said, I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I look at things and I think, that wasn't the way it was, that wasn't the way it was. And you're talking about renovation is different than complete gut reposition. And that's what it took to get this back to what it needs to be today, which it is. And to the mayor's point, you keep the old, you blend the old with the new, and that gives city its life. Because the old is part of it, that's the history, but the new says something else is happening here. And that's what really is exciting for the town.
And there'll be a local historian here that, as everybody knows, I believe is going to stop by, David Deeds.
Yep, I
And
agree.
he knows intimately every one of these pictures and can tell the story that goes with it. It's, you know, that's some deep history here for Waterloo, and we felt this would be the perfect spot
Beautiful.
to put them.
Any other questions?
I have one more. Just, you know, with the pandemic going on, you guys talked about I guess you said the hotel business coming back, thriving again with the pandemic. Were you guys kind of prepared to, you know, still work with this pandemic going into 2021, you know, later throughout deep in the year? Can you guys kind of talk about that?
Yes, what happens is, thank you, in the pandemic itself, we recognize each market will be able to, based on what the actual governor is going to do and what the protocols are in a particular area. Certain areas have hotspots for a variety of reasons. The mayor and I were having a conversation earlier. Obviously, there's protocols in place that he's trying to implement in his town, and people have to follow them, obviously. We're trying to stop that. But you're asking about the business going forward and what do we see in the industry in the business? We're seeing a 2 or 3 year lag because of convention business. Convention business is the driver in urban areas, Las Vegas, Orlando, Dallas, the big hotels. And when you see that not quite there, when you're sending 5 and 6 and 8 people to a convention, that's not going to happen for a while. First of all, companies might be pulling back based on finances and having some trouble, but also people might not willing to go. So you have people who are, you know, in their own world saying, I'm not quite comfortable traveling. That's okay. Businesses are going to adjust for that. That's why it'll take a little longer to step this process back up, because no one knows where the pandemic is going. Obviously, therapies are working well, deaths are down, but the reality is spikes are up, and there's a correlation there somewhere. But the fact is, on the hotel space, people really want to still travel, and we're seeing that in the leisure markets, the Sun Belt, and also anywhere near Rapid City, for example. If you're going to the monuments, you're going to lakes, you're going to national parks, business is way up, and people are traveling with their families. Not traveling with your friends, but maybe traveling with your families. So we're seeing that part of the business doing very, very well across the country. Urban hotels are obviously not doing well. New York City, LA, Chicago, the problem cities you see, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., that's going to be a problem for quite a long more time. And I think that the market will bear based on what the politics are at the time and how people feel about the pandemic in their own world. It's personal. That's what people have to recognize. It's what you think, what I think, whatever. It's how you feel for your own personal family and safety. But the hotel space, people are excited about traveling. Recently, if you look at TSA, we're seeing 1 million people now go through the TSA every week, every day. It was 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, but before it was 2.4 million was the average per day. So we're now cracking 1 million people traveling. So people are willing to do it, but not everybody. And that's a personal choice. So that'll happen for quite a long time, I think.
So with that, we've got some staff there that will take you, Gavin right back there will lead you through and give you a tour of, if you want to take pictures and stuff, you're welcome to do. And we thank you very much for coming out and sharing our evening with us.
Thanks very much.
I have to tell you, these gentlemen have been absolutely first class. Everything they said they would do, they did, and more. They even got us to the point where we had to take a look at where we were going as a downtown with our convention center. As you know, we've been trying to find answers. What are we going to do?
1, 2, 3. Best Western. Okay, start again. This time you can cut. Let's say it louder. 1, 2, 3. Best Western. All right.
Winter, spring, summer, fall. All you got to do is call, and I will be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. You got a friend. But you know you got a friend.